Christopher has given me permission to record the podcast on my side of the television. It's not a television. What is this? Oh, it's a computer screen. So Chris has given me permission to record on my side of the computer screen. So I am recording as we speak. I say we, but it's only me.
You're listening to Make It, a podcast by Bonsai Creative that helps creatives in film get where they're going faster by sharing the advice, knowledge, and insights of professional creatives across the film industry. I'm your host, Chris Barkley, and with me today is my good friend and Make It podcast co-host, Nicholas Bugs. Hello, Chris here with another episode of the Make It podcast. And this is a special indie talk. And that means I'm here with my good friend and co-founder of Bonsai Creative, Nicholas Bugs. Nick, say hello.
Bum, bum, bum. Hello.
Hello. Let's talk about this damn slap.
My man walked right into it, just like a good slap. He just walked right into it. My man put powder in his hand.
We'll talk about the Academy Awards as a proxy.
Slap.
We'll talk about the Academy Awards as a proxy to the slap. Okay. But let's talk about this slap.
Yeah, see,
because to me, there's been a million pieces of commentary on it, and we can go through some of those things, but I'm left with a lot of questions. I'm left with a lot of feelings about it because you had some historical wins. You had some historical Academy Award wins, whether it be Coda or Questlove or even our boy Ben Proudfoot. Those all have been swept under the rug, at least for now, by this thing that was so shocking and so unlikely that people thought it was fake. That the first reaction was, this is a bit. And look, the Academy Awards is not above it. We know the Grammys aren't above it. They had that hoax with Eminem that one time. And we've seen stunts being pulled. We saw Madonna and Britney Spears kiss, and there have been stunts before, so we wouldn't put it above, sort of a fledgling award show and from the rating standpoint. But it turned out to be real, oh so real. And I want to start with my first question, which is, and I just pose this to you. Can you believe how big of a story this is?
No, of course I can. I'm, partially annoyed by it. Even having this conversation, I told you I was torn. It's like, I don't want to be one of them. I don't want to be the rest of the world out there just like talking about this when there's so much other goodness that happened, at the Oscars. And it's like, the whole sensationalist thing. Okay, I get it. Can we get past it? But I also get as humans, we react to stuff like that. That crap was crazy. So can I believe that it's this big? Yeah, man. This is like, was there anything else that was this meme worthy? We are in the world of the meme. That's it. Like they found something that's super meme worthy, and this is just gonna last forever. It's just one of those things you're going to see it pop up every once in a while and be like, oh, remember that happened? But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't
think this meme is going away anytime soon.
No, it's not.
The snapshot that somebody got where Will's hand is out and his shoulder's one way and Chris Rock's face is the other way. It's so perfectly framed. I mean, you couldn't have framed that up better if you were Roger Deakins.
Yeah. But but the thing about it, and I'll have to give you this. So, okay, it's big. Of course, I believe it's big because it's just, it's the Oscars, bro. Like, this is black tie. This is supposed to be the upper echelon of, perfection. And, everyone is so nice to each other because that's the artist's way. And this was it was insane. Right.
Yeah.
But I will have to offer this. Was it real? Because.
So you're asking me?
Yeah, well, I'm going to put it like this. I have to kind of frame it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm sure, as I have, you've seen, at least a handful of people get slapped. Okay? Not one person that I've ever seen get slapped reacted that way. It's almost as if it didn't happen. It's almost as if what really happened was Will went to swing on him and he dodged that joint. Yeah. Right? And we thought we heard a slap, but what we heard was something totally different.
Yeah.
Because
it was.
he either that or Chris Rock is one of the strongest people in the world. There was almost no recoil. It wasn't like a bounce back. It wasn't like he got really caught off guard. He's halfway over. That's a snapshot, though, and that's what I'm saying. That bend over moved his body. That slap moved his body. No. I think the motion might have moved his body, and I think Chris Rock might have. He might have bobbed and weaved and ducked that sucker. Now, of course, he didn't, from what we're hearing, right? Is in, Will apologize for actually slapping him. No,
I agree. Listen, let me just answer. Let me jump in because I think you're half right. This was the second I saw it. I said, "Oh, he didn't really get him." Yeah, the angle we have is bad. He didn't really get him. He walked away. He swung hard as hell. He tried to get him, right? And he didn't really get him like he wanted to get him because when you get slapped with the full palm across your face, your eye is watering. Oh, man, it should have been a tear coming down. Not a crying tear, but like a tear. It's almost like getting punched in the nose. You're going to have a reaction to it, whether you're tough or not.
Oh, your skin's going red. I don't care how brown you are. If you get hit like that, your skin is going to get red in that spot.
Be a little swollen at spot. Yep. Usually you'll have some bleeding on the inside of your mouth if you get slapped with the full your hand.
Or just it won't feel right.
Yes, it's right. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's real. No, he didn't get him like we thought he got him.
Right. Exactly. That's my thing. I think because remember the reaction. So again, you've seen people get slapped, and you might have slapped a handful of people. And when you do that, you will look the person in the face. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be in that moment. And it was almost like he swung at him, missed, and knew that he couldn't go back again. Yeah. So he just turned and walked away.
Yeah, exactly. I think and the way he walked away, by the way, and how stoic Chris Rock was going forward, it felt like a duel from the 1800s or something. It felt like Chris Rock slept with his sister or something, and he smacked him in the face with a white glove.
Right.
It felt like it was the initiation of something where basically Will saying, "Okay, that's your invitation to a duel next week. Meet me by the oak tree.
Take 20 paces, turn around and fire."
Isn't that how it starts? You get slapped first. Isn't that how those duels started? You get
that's right.
Slapped.
I challenge you. Yeah.
Someone slaps you, and then that's a disrespect. And now the town's too small for both of us.
Right.
And one of us has to go. Right. That's kind of what Will did it's kind of what he did in his own way. Right.
Yeah. And that's, again, I think, yes, it was real. He swung at him. I think one of the reasons why, if Chris Rock comes out and forgives him, and that's the word on the street, right, is that they've kind of settled things. Probably Diddy and some other folks were, helping the situation out. Will came out and apologized. And if Chris Rock says, yeah, we're cool, I think part of that is because he really didn't get hit. I think he was grazed, man. And I think in that moment, especially because he just got grazed, because he didn't have the physical injury, right? He wasn't physically hurt by what Will did. And I think he was just like, yeah, Will lost it.
Chris Rock is not a Hollywood guy. Now, Will Smith isn't either, but these aren't Hollywood guys. So, like, my definition, for example, My definition of assault is not the Hollywood definition of assault.
Oh, I was laughing when I saw that stuff come out. It's like, he assaulted him. He's not going to press charges. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
The coach's not going to press charges.
A little fist fight between friends is never a reason to involve the police.
Police, exactly.
Yeah, there's no reason for that. So I didn't expect that. Plus, I think if Chris Rock is smart, he will parlay this into the biggest payday he has ever gotten in his life for a 60-minute special. And he can just pick his streamer, HBO, Hulu, Netflix, whoever he wants. They're going to pay. If he just doesn't say anything,
which he hasn't.
No files charged, just stay quiet, get to writing. And the very next thing people hear from you is this special.
Or multiple appearances.
They're going to give them $60 million.
Yeah, because they're going to vie for it. Like everyone's going to be like, who's going to talk to Chris Rock first?
If they gave Eddie Murphy $60 million for Coming to America 2.
I shudder.
Exactly. Then Chris Rock will get close to that for this comedy special where it'll be the first time he's spoken since the slap heard around the world.
Well, that's what that special is going to be called.
The slap heard around exactly, and it will be so perfect and so venomous, I'm sure. But also knowing Chris Rock, it'll be intelligent. It'll be an interesting take. I want to go back to the original question I asked, though, which is, are you surprised it's so big?
Yeah, no,
you're not surprised. I'm not surprised, but for a different reason. And I haven't heard anyone give this take yet. But I started thinking about how big the story is and how fast it got. The fact that it permeated all areas of media. So like non-entertainment shows, anything and everything
Bloomberg,
was
probably.
running it. Bloomberg, Fox. I mean, Tucker's got to talk about it.
Yeah.
He's probably talking about the blackification of the Oscars as we speak. But
I think they're all standing up for Chris Rock.
Well, I think so too, because it's just so. Just to be clear, I'm leaning more Chris than Will, but I'll tell you why in a second. Let me go back to how big. I think that we live in a world where the town hall of the world is Twitter, and certainly of the United States, but maybe of the world is Twitter. All the conversations that happen between people, all the canceling we hear about, all the Me Too we hear about, anything that sort of happens in culture happens on Twitter. Oh, Elon challenged Vladimir Putin to a single combat duel for the rights to Ukraine, as if both of them can decide who gets Ukraine. Yeah, that happened on Twitter. Like all these things happen there. So then what happens through that conversation is it permeates to sort of these other social media sites. So I would say between Twitter and Reddit, that's where the conversations happen. And then we see everybody's opinion pour out in podcast or in IG, Facebook, TikTok, of course, YouTube, you name it. So we live in this world where anything can be said and things are said every day, but it's said with complete safety and sometimes with anonymity. And it's been a long time since this generation saw the physical example, the real life example of what my mom used to call finding out that fat meat is greasy. And what that means is you think this is a game and it's not a game. And Chris Rock and Will Smith, regardless of what side you fall on, that's what a real confrontation looks like. That's what happens when pride and shame and pressure, because make no mistake, Jada gave him a look like, what are you laughing at, Negro?
Yep. Oh, yeah,
I know you're not laughing at that.
I know you're not laughing at that. Yep, exactly.
So he had to go up it. He had to either leave his wife which maybe he should do.
That's what we talked about. Yeah.
Or go smack the shit out of Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And I think that this generation hasn't seen violence that isn't computer generated or part of entertainment. They've seen more violence that's fake than any generation in history. But there's no replacement for that visceral, real stuff.
Yeah, but especially on the celebrity stage.
And I think that's why it got so.
It's the celebrity
I think that's why it's so
stage,
giant.
Yeah. I hear you in that.
Because how fake our world is.
Yeah, I hear you with that. But I also say, I mean, and it's difficult. I know that we have to call it, like you said, what it is. You say it's violence, right? But I kind of laugh a little bit at, it's like. Yeah. Was that really violent?
It's a sprinkle of disrespect.
Exactly. That's what it was. But I mean, I hear you. I hear where you're coming from, because you're right. You don't see that. You don't see the physical aggression. You don't see the physical confrontation. And it's Will Smith, bro. Like he said, he has been trying to live this life of positivity and love and giving and aspiration and inspiration. That's what people go to him for.
Yeah.
And for him to do this was completely outside of what people believe to be his character. And to be honest, that I felt for him. And now, of course, she shouldn't, slapped him.
Things have changed for him.
But no, it's not even that. I felt bad for him because what I witnessed, and I don't know, I'm sure other people agree, was he broke down. He fell apart. And I'm not talking about his speech. I'm talking about when he decided to get up and go after Chris Rock, he had broken down. Like everything that he probably believed in himself disappeared, and who he thought he needed to be for his wife appeared.
Yeah.
And it wasn't him. And that's why during his speech, he, again, broke down, because he realized, he's like, this is not me. This isn't who I am. Like, this is not what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get the words out. Like, he's supposed to protect people. He's supposed to protect, his family. Well, you don't protect your family by doing something like that, especially on national television. So it's against his character, but that's the other thing that's going on Twitter and everywhere else is Jada made him do it. Like not last night. It wasn't that she made him do it last night. It's been over the past 10 years, right? Is that influence, that emasculation that people talk about. Again, I can't speak on it. I'm no expert, right? But that's the word on the street is, he's been broken down for some time, and this might have been just the straw. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious to see where he goes, Will Smith goes after this, and what his life looks like.
Can I ask you another question?
Please do.
When Denzel gave Will the sage advice after the slap,
in
which he said, it's when you're at your peak or your height,
at your height,
that the devil comes for you. Is the devil Chris Rock or Jada?
I think it's whatever made him do that. That's what Denzel was trying to tell him. Right. Denzel wasn't trying to say that Chris Rock is the devil. Like, that's in no way was he trying to say that. And I don't think that he was pointing at Jada. I think the devil in that case was whatever makes you step out of yourself and do something devilish. Right. So he felt an emotion. That's what he said on, in his response or his apology. Right. Is that he made an emotional reaction. He didn't think.
Yeah.
Right. Something happened to him. The devil got in him. Right. That's what it came for him. That feeling of, maybe he did feel like, he's stuck. If I let this man disrespect my wife, she's going to leave me. Right. Mm-hmm. And maybe she won't leave me. Maybe she'll just emasculate me on Red Table Talk.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe she'll just say, like, he didn't stand up for me. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. After that happened, I asked my wife, I was like, have you seen the movie Crash? And she said,
that's
no.
So crazy that you brought that up. I was just researching Crash earlier today for one of our forthcoming books. Oops.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I won't get into it, but there's, of course, a scene in that movie. I think that's actually starts the movie where there's a husband and wife and something happens to the wife and the husband doesn't do anything about it. He's basically in a position, he's in a lose-lose, right? If he reacts, that could be his life, that could be her life. If he doesn't react, then that's what you get to see play out, right? She basically doesn't forgive him for not standing up for her and not doing something about it. And it's a disgusting, a really unfortunate place to be in. You know, it's like you're stuck. Like, what are you supposed to do? And I think, honestly, again, I'm not no expert on this situation. I don't know Will and Jada like that, you know, and I don't follow celebrities like that. But, you know, when someone breaks down and just does something like that, especially someone that we kind of have revered in the personality that is Will Smith, you tend to think that that's a position that he found himself in. And, you know, he made the devilish decision. You know, he could have gone a different direction, but he didn't.
He's in a very Shakespearean position.
Yeah.
I feel like. So, okay, I have another question for you.
Shoot.
There's video of Will Smith dancing to some of his biggest hits.
Yep.
After party. Mm-hmm. And he, hey, well deserved. You won an Oscar finally. There is a type of jubilation and pride that you get when you know that you were sort of the victor in a physical altercation, even if you know you're wrong. Does this, because the problem is that there are establishments and established people that have now lost trust. How far back did this set Black people? And for those people that don't know, most people that listen to this podcast know that Nick and I are blessed with melanin. So I asked that question both for myself and for this audience to you. Like,
yeah,
Black people get set back really, really far here.
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot to, again, the relationship. I think there's, you know, there are a lot of people who follow that relationship between Will and Jada. You know, it's a very public thing. You know, I mean, she literally, that's what she talks about on her Red Table Talks, right? And Will, I think, wrote a book and it has, you know, much of this in the book. So it's very public. And I think, and I hate to go there, but I'm going to go there a little bit. I think that a lot of folks might not consider as much the melanin in Will Smith. Okay. So I think that's potentially a saving grace for that situation. Right. I think that's why people aren't going to really think about it in that way, because that's not what happened. Right. It wasn't, you know, I honestly I haven't even seen any of the memes out there that talk about Black on Black violence, you know, like, because do they consider Will Smith Black?
I have seen this thing where it's like nobody can say the Oscars aren't Black anymore, or Oscars, you know, so white anymore. And they're conflating the violence of the Academy Awards with Blackness, which I know personally hate, because what's Black about violence?
Right.
And we would ask that question. But that's kind of the feeling in some of the Twitter sphere, and even in Black, quote unquote, Black Twitter. And I would say we got to like not take that perspective, because if we do,
for sure.
then we do get set back as a community.
Oh yeah. I think, and I hear you, because I think some folks in the Twitterverse would say, you know, that's how Black folks deal with stuff, right? Like you confront, and that might be true for certain parts of, you know, Black neighborhoods, but there's white neighborhoods where the same thing is true. There's Hispanic neighborhoods where the same thing is true. Right. Like, it's not unique to Black. Right. It's one of those where, like you said, it would be dangerous for anyone to kind of make that connection. This is about Will Smith. This is about, you know, emotional trauma. This is about a really bad situation. You know, like you said, he can take it if it's coming at him. I mean, you know, I don't know how people, you know, think about alopecia, but I think that
it sounds like an expensive dog.
Yeah, it may be, right. That's maybe that's what people think about it. Maybe they don't think about it. But I kind of put
What
this
kind
in
of dog
front
you
of
have?
you.
Golden Doodle. What kind of dog
Right.
you have? An
Alopecia. Right. So, but listen, imagine that your wife has cancer. And
Wait,
the
is
GI
alopecia
Jane.
cancer? Educate me.
No, it's not. It's not. It's basically like it's a sudden hair loss. Actually, the like alopecia can resolve itself, which is a very odd thing as well. But it's a medical condition. Right? Like this isn't a choice that she made. This wasn't some, fashion choice that she made, in which case it probably, the joke would have hit different. But it was, so this is a medical condition. So again, imagine it's you, right? And you're sitting there and your wife, let's say, has cancer, right? So again, it's a medical condition that through the treatment causes you to lose your hair, right? Okay. And Chris Rock tells the same joke about your wife who's struggling with cancer and has been open about her journey dealing with cancer. It's some jokes just aren't meant to be. Some jokes you gotta leave.
I didn't think it was a good joke because G.I. Jane is so old that this generation might not know the movie.
Oh, but he knows it. That's the thing. Like they know it. The people in that room, every last person in that room knew that movie.
I know, but it might have been there was probably a better joke to tell. But I do wonder if Will and Chris have spent time together. I know that Chris has made jokes about Jada in the past, but if they know each other, or at least their agents know each other, you'd think there'd be a call out like, hey, look, I'm going to bring her. This is what's going on with her. I just want you to know this is what's going on with her, right?
Yeah,
versus doing the because as far as I know, Chris Rock might have thought she just chose to shave her hair.
Yeah, I hear you, right, and that very well could be true. The challenge with that is that being a public figure that Jada is, and in relation to Will Smith, like she's been very public about this journey with alopecia, right? Mm-hmm. So. Again, I don't know if Chris Rock follows Jada or Will, right? I have no clue.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly, you're exactly right. But that's the challenge, right? Is that you're sitting here next to your wife who's dealing with a medical condition that you don't know how troubling that is for her at night, right? Yeah. When she's trying to be, during the day, she's on Instagram or Facebook Live and she's, being as positive as she can be, but at home. Right. When the cameras are off, it could be a whole different situation. And it's a tough thing. Again, he shouldn't have done, what he did, but it's a challenging situation to be put in when the relationship already apparently has been a challenge. So tough one, man.
I have heard the cancer sort of example. And I get the gist that you're making. I get the gist that everybody's making around it. The thing I don't think about it, though, I don't buy into it because your cancer-ridden wife wouldn't be there. So it's like a hypothetical I can't even get with. It just wouldn't happen.
No, it's not about that. It's about medical condition. That's the point.
Yeah, I know, but the reason people use cancer and look, I don't want to accuse you, but the reason you might have used cancer is because it's extreme. It's big medical condition.
The bald. No, it's the bald.
Have you said she had corns?
No, bald. Bald. That's what I'm saying. Like that doesn't.
But all cancers make you bald.
No. But that's the way.
And if you're bald, then you have chemo and you wouldn't be there.
Well, that's my whole point. No. Some people you can be out and about.
I mean, it would be a terrible night. It would be cruel to the person.
No. It's not necessarily
pain
that.
And exhaustion you have from chemo.
It's not. I know that, but it's not necessarily that bad for everyone. There are people who are out and about who are bald because of the treatment, and they move about and live their lives. My point, I think, the point that people are making is that it's like we talked about earlier. What did you say alopecia was? It's a really expensive dog, right?
Beautiful.
That's what I'm saying, because people don't relate it.
Yeah.
Or they don't think about it. So that's why people use the cancer thing, because that's the thing that people know about. Oh, cancer, people lose their hair. Yeah. That's it. It's not about the extreme. It's just more about
a situation a little.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, because you think someone's trying to take it to an extreme to make you feel even worse.
No one gets made fun of when they have cancer. No one.
So that's it. Yeah.
It's just the whole thing wouldn't happen if she walked in there and was bald from cancer. There would have been no Chris Rock joke.
Right. And I think, again,
Period.
the point
It's just
is,
the truth.
the point is that it's bald, right? Again, people don't think about alopecia. Like that's not something people think about. But yeah, so I hear you, because you're right. It is an extreme case where it's like, well, it's not apples to apples here.
Yeah. Whereas if I come in and somebody knows I have gout, I'm free game, baby. Make those gout jokes.
Yeah, right. Especially on Black Twitter.
Yeah, I've got a leaky anal problem.
What?
Leaky anus.
Right.
I'm free game for the roast, baby.
Wait, what's happening? I think. Wait, is there like a mute a pre-mute button I can push?
Is that a button on live radio where you kind of have like the 3-second delay to keep FCC from finding you?
Go.
All right, last question.
All right,
we'll wrap this up.
All right.
Where do we go from here? What happens next, in your opinion? What do you think?
I get it's so crazy. There's so many where you go from here. Like one of the first ones that I think of when you say where you go from here, because I know we just had the conversation, but I'm kind of over the Will Smith. Like let them work their stuff out. Like I'm not a celebrity chaser. Like I don't care. Like let them do what they're going to do. Right. So for me, it's like, where do we go from here? And when I think about it, I think, where does the Academy Awards, where does the Oscars go from here? Because they're already talking, like you said earlier, like they've been floundering, right? Like what's going to happen here with the Oscars? Like, is it still the thing that people want to watch? Because before when we didn't have as much content, and when I say content, of course, I include Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all these things. You only had so many people making the content. So like those are the people that you put on a pedestal. Everyone did. Mm-hmm. Like that was it. You waited to see these people in their human form, right outside of the film. And like, this was awesome. But now you've got, I could be following 8,000 people on any other platform that I care to see just as much, if not more. I might be watching that stuff while I've got Oscars on in the background. Yeah. So I feel like what's happening now is that the Oscars is for the entertainment world. And I say the entertainment is for the film world. It used to be for everyone, but that's shrinking. So now that this happened, and it's because it sullies that, right? Like it takes away from Coda. It takes away from the distinction of the show. Yes, exactly. So now you're already kind of losing favor because you're just one part of the content ecosystem. And then, like you said, that takes away from the celebrity of it. And there have been some past shows that have not been so great, right? So they're not even living up to their own hype. It's like, well, maybe at some point they just go to a streamer, right? And you get the Oscars streamed on something, and maybe the biggest part of the Oscars show is the red carpet.
I'm an optimist, so I'll take another route, although or route. Although I do like that commentary. I like that idea, and I'll give you a little inside baseball as well. So a little twofer here. On the night of the Oscars, not the Academy Awards, Sunday night, I was doing one of our podcast interviews, and I won't say the person I was interviewing yet, but I asked them, I said, I'm just curious, why would you schedule this, against the Academy Awards? And he said, the Academy Awards are tonight?
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, they are. And so for me, because I've been on this journey to watch all the Academy nominated films and the films that could be nominated, it's been something I'm hyper aware of.
Right.
And so when I pull out of that a little bit, zoom out and see the world as it really is, instead of as I imagine it is, there really wasn't a lot of heat. There really wasn't as much heat as I thought.
Yep.
And if I'm the Academy Awards, I have to get back to a position of leverage. That's my take. If I'm the Academy Awards, I go back to my position of authority. What does that mean? It means I no longer care what you think. I don't care what you say about me. I'm going back to tuxedos. I'm going back to giant venues. I'm going back to dark rooms. I'm ending this ridiculous 6-foot distance bullshit that nobody cares about.
Yep.
I'm making it where there is an opportunity for security, so that's not just an idea or a veil that's put on for the TV audience, but that it really exists the way it would at a concert, or the way it used to exist, where you had producers off stage, you had security in different places, and it was really well protected, where somebody just can't walk on the stage that easily and present, the the presenter with a slap across the face. Like, once Will started walking up to them, at least one security guard should have come up and gotten in between, like right then and there, because they obviously the producers in the truck cut away from the shot. Right. So they know to cut away. So just have it go back to what you did well, which was prestige. Give me great movies, movie stars, glamorous shit. Stop caring about Twitter. Stop caring about IG, and especially what they think. Promote on them, yes. Get buzz on them, yes. Spend your ad dollars there, yes. But in terms of letting them program for you, it's akin to that Simpsons episode where Homer found out he had a rich half brother, and the half brother let him design a car, and the car had everything in it. And because it had everything in it to please everyone, it pleased no one, and the brother went bankrupt.
Right.
And the car was a monstrosity.
Right.
And that's what happens when you have all these inputs. And it's like I tell our filmmaking community, not everybody's worthy to give you notes. They can give you the note, but you're more than welcome to crumble that up in a ball and throw it away. You have to earn your critique. You have to earn your trust to give a note, to give a suggestion on how to move forward. And when you haven't earned it, you just want to give it. And that's what social media and what has hurt the Academy Awards. That's what's hurt a lot of things and that we love dearly around entertainment is I'm going to take my inputs from every group and then try to make an amalgamation of some show. But that's not what we loved. We loved how bougie it was because we can't be bougie.
Yeah.
Well, we want the beautiful gowns. We want the tuxedos. We want the dark lit room. We want, the big venues. We want the red carpet. We don't want people on there acting goofy. Like we don't want our presenters being like low rent
right
on the red carpet. People. We want good questions. We want there to be a sense of red tape. Let me add there's
to that
a line there. You can't cross it because you don't have entrance. So that's what I think they should do next.
Yeah. Well, I would agree. Let me add to it. Right. So there's two things that I would add. So the first one is, when you talk about them trying to please everyone, I think that there's a power out there. And I don't know how Twitter or any social organization or social group or even hashtag or meme has this power, but we are in a cancel culture. And I think that there's a fear of that as well at play here, which is why they placate to so many different audiences. And in addition to what you just said about them, listening to all of these folks, and this is another one. It's crazy to talk about, and I hate to bring it up, but are they kind of sullying their reputation a bit in this cancel culture environment of ours when it seems like there's all of these firsts? I feel like, it's very likely that many of the firsts are deserving. Right?
Yeah.
But it's also likely that, the Academy Awards and many other institutions are just trying to go after the firsts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And if you have that feeling, right, anywhere in your heart that it's basically disingenuous, right? An award that's given isn't given on merit, but it's given because the institution is trying to look a certain way, you lose confidence in the institution.
It's a great point, man. And the pressure is unbelievable to do the opposite. And we know that just on our scale, which is a small scale, where we have been on workshops and panels and jurors and film festivals, and we have to decide, what's the best film, or, like what. It's interesting when you go through that process and you have to realize I cannot vote with my emotion. I really want to do this, but I need to do that. Or I really want this film to win, but it really objectively isn't better than the other film. And, and the pressure that gets put on you to let something happen because look what they went through, or they're marginalized,
or it would be in the best interest of
the
institution. Or if this were to happen, if we were to do this, you get more people watching, or if we were to do this, we'll be the first ones to do it. I think there was a race a couple of years ago. I mean, I know at Sundance, our guy Philip Humans was the youngest. Director, to win at Sundance. And I think that there was like a race after that. I think that Amazon had actually gotten the youngest director, like they purchased the film of the youngest director. He was 16. Right. So it's like Sundance gets the 17-year-old. Well, Amazon Prime Video gets the 16-year-old. Right. And there's this race to get the first. Right. So I think that you're right. Like, as you're judging, as you're making these decisions, I think there's the film part of it. Like you said, the emotion, like this thing was phenomenal. But then it's like, well, if this one wins, then, what kind of doors does that open to us? What kind of protections do we get from cancel culture? Right. And sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes it's like when, you get in those, it's a lot in television. I don't know that I've seen it in real life, but on TV, when, talking about to a white guy and they're like, you're racist. And they say the white guy always says the line, well, I've got a black friend, and it's like, well, I can't be racist, but I think it could potentially be a similar thing happening here where it's like, well, you guys are whitewashed. Well, no, we just had this person win. How can you call us that?
Yeah. And that's that corporate bullshit. And it's real. I can't tell you how many corporations had, Black Lives Matter statements right after George Floyd was murdered. And they just kind of waited that shit out. They didn't change anything about their company.
No.
They didn't change anything about their policies. They didn't change anything. They waited till it was safe to not change those things and then just go back to how things were. Which might have been the more profitable way or the way that they know how to sort of manage a process, which is what companies do. They manage processes to their most efficient end or whatever. So, and for us, we just have a simple rule. To the best of our ability, we take the work seriously enough where we say, to the best of our ability, we will make decisions on merit. And try to remove bias wherever we can. It's almost impossible to do, but we really try to do it. And I think that would help a lot if the Academy did that, and even going further, the Grammys as well. Although they're not going to have that issue because I think from day one, musicians are musicians. There's a certain objectivity to it that has nothing to do with identity politics. Right. Like, you hear a work of art that's incredible. You don't really ask, were they black or white? You don't ask all those questions. Whereas in film, it's kind of like, oh, you told an Asian story? Seems like you're white. And then we question whether they were allowed to tell an Asian story. Right. So it's just kind of this weird shit that we do in film.
I had that's the second point that I wanted to mention. So the second point is this. When you were talking about, again, like, what can the Academy do? And again, my household is not going to be like every other household, right? But, as the movies, the films were being talked about, as the nominees were being discussed, my wife says, what movie is that? I've never heard of that. Like, what is that? How come I don't know about that? And she's, we don't watch a lot of TV and we definitely don't watch commercials, right? Like, that's not a thing, right? So the big question for me is that let's say, let's go as far as to say that 50% of the people out there are like my wife, right? Where it's like, you're not watching that stuff. How do you know about these films?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like she didn't know about any of them and she wants to watch all of them now. But she literally, like, the only way she knew was because I had her sit down and watch the Oscars. So So again, I don't know the answer. I don't, because I'm not out there. I mean, I'm in this industry, so I know what's what. Yeah. But for her, she's not. So she has no clue about any of this stuff, right? She's not the person who turns on, Netflix and just looks at, hey, here's the Oscar or here are the top things. No, she's going to go look for a specific type of thing and she's going to ignore that. So anyway, my whole point is there a way, or has the Academy Awards, have they lost their way to the regular people, right? The people who are not in film.
Yeah.
Have they lost their ability to reach them? And therefore people care less about those films.
Yeah. I think it's a great point that they might find out that their biggest audience was in the Midwest because the world they're presenting is unattainable to so many people in that part of the country, or maybe isn't even desirable. At best, it's a curiosity that they have once a year. It's like it's like finding out when you're a famous rapper that you can afford to lose your black audience, but not your white audience. If you just care about money.
Right. There you go.
And if you care about your brand, you can't afford to lose your black audience. You can afford to lose your white audience. But right, like black people keep Talib Kweli alive, right?
That's right. Like, oh yeah,
because we know what's up, right? Like, black people keep Immortal Technique alive. Maybe also Latin folks, Hispanic folks, but for them to be stars, they would need a giant white audience, right? So it's just one of those ironic things. It's like that's the audience that gets off on this the most. That's most therapeutic too. So maybe the Academy will find out that it's people who aren't even the theater people that have all grown up watching your show. It's people who are just curious about the lifestyle and maybe even dream about it a little bit and don't want to be preached to every time they turn it on. So,
well, there's your next reality show, bro. It's just called like the Academy Life, and it's the reality show into maybe there's a whole world around that happens throughout the year that we don't even know about.
Yep.
Right. And that culminates in the Academy Awards. I'm sure people would watch.
I think so. I think that'd be a good idea, man. I appreciate you, by the way.
Yeah, my pleasure, dude.
I appreciate you coming on last minute to talk about, I think we're going to name this episode The Slap Heard Around the World.
There you go.
Special
because
that's talk.
Because when Chris Rock names his special, he'll be doing it after this episode. So it's all good. Let's do it.
That's right. I love it. And for those listening, I hope you enjoyed this one-off special indie talk. We wanted to do it while it was still sort of in the zeitgeist.
Hot in the streets.
Yeah. And but we'll do this more often. If there's a second slap tomorrow, we'll be right back on here talking about that second slap and the fallout from that too, because frankly, the news cycle moves so fast, you can't afford just to take 2 weeks off sometimes in the entertainment business. So as everybody knows, you can reach out to us at contact@bonsai.film for requests, questions, concerns, etc. That's an email address. You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon, you name it. And you can DM us, reach out to us, follow our content at _Bonsai Creative on Instagram and on Twitter. You can reach out to Nick directly about his opinions on this slap at nick@bonsai.film. And you can find me on Twitter at Flame in Your Heart, or you can just search for Christopher Barkley on Twitter and reach out to me there as well. So Nick, with that, I suppose we should leave them with the credo.
Yeah, man. So I will say this. I'll preface, be good to yourself and be good to your neighbor. Mm-hmm. And then I'll say, as always, be better, be creative, be engaged.
And thank you for listening. Nick, talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again.
Peace.
Peace.
You've been listening to the Make It Podcast. To find out more information about this week's topics, including links to relevant blog posts, projects, and indie creatives, please visit our website at www.bonsai.film. If you haven't already, you can join our podcast community on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app of your choice by searching for Make It Bonsai Creative, and the show will pop right up. You now have the opportunity to support the production of this podcast. If you love Make It and are a true fan of what we're trying to accomplish in the indie film community, please visit www.bonsai.film and click Contribute. Contributions start at only $5 monthly. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at _Bonsai Creative and on Facebook by searching for Bonsai Creative. You can provide feedback to us via email at contact@bonsai.film, and you can follow me, Chris, on Twitter at FlamingYourHeart. That's FlamingYurHeart. And of course, if you're looking to take a big step towards your filmmaking success, go to www.bonsai.film and click on Services to explore a variety of offerings from keynotes and panels to pitch readiness assessments and so much more. You have everything to gain. Until next time, be better, be creative, be engaged, and thank you for listening.